History remembers the conquerors. It remembers the kings, the emperors, and the generals. But does history remember the mother? The woman who, entirely alone and stripped of all protection, walked into the dead of night to save her newborn child from the most ruthless dictator on earth? Today, we uncover a story you thought you knew. This is the untold struggle of a mother's ultimate sacrifice. This is the story of Mary. There are certain chapters in human history that echo through eternity. From the sacred grounds of ancient Palestine to the dusty trails of Egypt, every grain of sand holds the memory of an extraordinary woman and her miraculous child. Today, we will explore the unseen agonies of Mary, details often brushed over by mainstream history. How did a solitary woman, defying the piercing judgments of society and the bloodlust of a tyrant, carry out a divine mission? Why did she have to flee the sacred sanctuary of Jerusalem for the brutal, unforgiving unknown? Among the thousands of prophets and kings of ancient Israel, why does this story stand entirely apart? Let's travel back over 2,000 years. The time was one of extreme turmoil. Palestine was suffocating under the iron grip of the Roman Empire, ruled locally by King Herod the Great. His cruelty was so legendary, so terrifying, that even his own family members trembled at his shadow. Yet on the edges of this chaotic society, tucked away in a quiet, sacred chamber of the temple, known as the Mihrab, lived a woman of pure devotion. Her name was Mary. Shielded from the noise of the world, she spent her days and nights in deep prayer. But a storm was coming to her peaceful life, one she could never have prepared for. The Archangel Gabriel appeared with unimaginable news. By divine decree, without any human intervention, she was to give birth to a son. Mary was terrified. "How can I have a boy when no man has ever touched me?" she asked. But the decree of the Creator is absolute. When the pangs of childbirth struck, she was completely alone. In a desolate, uninhabited place, leaning against the trunk of a dead palm tree, she writhed in pain. For a woman, what moment could be more vulnerable? In her agony, she cried out, "Oh, I wish I had died before this and was in oblivion, forgotten." But God never abandons His chosen ones. In that desolate landscape, a miraculous child took his first breath. Jesus, or Isa, was born.
When Mary returned to civilization with baby Jesus in her arms, the ultimate test of her life began. By today's standards, we would call her a single mother. She had no husband, no protector in a fiercely patriarchal society. Imagine the crushing weight of that moment. The very society that once revered her as the most pious and devoted woman in the temple was now looking at her with absolute suspicion and contempt. The crowds rushed towards her. Their eyes were filled with judgment. They mocked her. "Oh Mary, you have certainly done a truly terrible thing. Your father was not a wicked man, nor was your mother unchaste. What have you done?" Every single day was a psychological war. She had no words to defend herself against their toxic accusations. Under divine instruction, she had taken a fast of silence. When confronted, she simply pointed to the infant in her arms. The townspeople laughed in disbelief. How can we talk to a baby still in the cradle? And in that exact moment, one of the greatest miracles in history occurred. The infant Jesus spoke. With the wisdom of a prophet, the baby's voice echoed. Indeed, I am the servant of God. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet." The crowd was stunned into absolute silence. But Mary knew her struggle was far from over. She knew her child was no ordinary boy, but a mother's heart still bleeds. When baby Jesus cried from hunger, her soul ached. Surviving as a single mother is incredibly hard, even in the 21st century. Imagine the reality 2 millennia ago. She bore the sideways glances and the societal shame in absolute silence. But as the child grew, he became her anchor. When tears streamed down her face, the young Jesus would wipe them away, comforting her. "Do not grieve, mother. God is with us." The bond between this mother and son was perhaps the most profound and purest connection the world has ever seen. But the shadows were closing in. In the opulent halls of Jerusalem palace, word reached King Herod. Rumors of a miraculous child, a prophesied Messiah who would one day claim the throne, drove the paranoid king into absolute madness. The intoxicating thirst for power can turn men into monsters, and Herod was the ultimate proof. He realized that if he couldn't identify this specific child, he would simply wipe out an entire generation. Herod issued a chilling decree. Every male child in Bethlehem and its surrounding areas, aged 2 years and under, was to be slaughtered. The wails of mothers pierced the heavens. The heavy boots of soldiers and the clash of swords broke the midnight silence. Desperate women clutched their babies, running blindly through the dark alleys, but there was no escaping the brutal Roman steel. The sky above Bethlehem grew heavy with the grief of 1,000 broken hearts. In that terrifying hour, with danger practically knocking at her door, a divine warning arrived. In a dream, an angel appeared to Mary and her guardian, historically known as Joseph the carpenter, with a desperate command. "Flee, take the child and escape to Egypt. Stay hidden there until I tell you." There was no time to pack, no time to gather food or say goodbyes. Without hesitating for a second, Mary strapped her most precious treasure to her chest and stepped out into the treacherous unknown night. Under the cover of darkness, with nothing but the clothes on their backs, Mary set out for the unknown. Behind her lay her homeland, the memories of the temple. Ahead lay the vast, brutal and deadly desert. The journey was a nightmare. By day, the desert sun baked the sand until it felt like walking on burning coals. By night, the freezing winds cut through to their bones. When the scorching heat dried Mary's throat and baby Jesus grew pale from thirst, she would look up to the heavens. Before her tears could even hit the ground, God would cause a miraculous spring of cool water to burst from the barren earth beneath their feet. When sheer exhaustion took over and her body wanted to give up, dry, withered trees would miraculously sprout fresh dates to feed them. History bears witness. Every single step of this brutal refugee journey was sustained by divine intervention. This wasn't just a physical journey across a desert, it was the ultimate test of tawakkul, absolute unwavering trust in God. Days turned into weeks. Finally, after walking hundreds of miles, they reached the lush banks of the Nile River. There, lost in the crowded foreign streets of Egypt, they lived as refugees for years. No one in that bustling empire knew who this quiet, humble woman was. No one knew that the little boy playing in the dust would one day change the course of human history. Not the luxury of palaces, but the harsh reality of poverty, exile, and silence were the childhood companions of Jesus. On the soil of Egypt, he grew, learning wisdom and an unbreakable love for the Creator directly from his mother. Years passed, and then the news finally arrived. The tyrant King Herod was dead. The power he had slaughtered innocents to protect could not save him from the grave. After a long, grueling life in exile, the call came to return home. Mary took her son and journeyed back to Palestine. But this time, For their safety, they didn't return to the epicenter of Jerusalem. They settled far in the north, in a quiet mountainous town called Nazareth. Through this brutal decade-long ordeal, Mary proved one absolute truth. When a mother fiercely protects her child with unwavering trust in the Almighty, no superpower on earth can defeat her. She was not just a mother, she was a blazing beacon of faith. The struggle of Mary and Jesus leaves us with an eternal legacy of patience, sacrifice, and unbreakable resilience. But is returning to Nazareth the end of the story? Not even close. Jesus is growing up. He is approaching his 30s. The time has come for him to step out of the shadows, to reveal his divine mission, to stand face to face against the corrupted elite and the arrogant priests of the temple. A new rebellion is about to begin, one that will shake the mighty Roman Empire to its core. What happened during the youth of Jesus? How did he bring the dead back to life? And why did his own people conspire to assassinate him? Find out in the next episode of our series. If this untold story of Mary touched your heart today, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us on this epic historical journey. Let us know in the comments below which moment of Mary's struggle amazed you the most.